Half a Day Decision 2024 in full effect. I'm Nick Delgado. Welcome to a new episode of The Hub. The race is on for the mayoral race, especially. A lot of villages seeing new faces and new candidates. So we head over to one where they don't just see new faces, they see multiple campaign signs on one property. Let's take a look. Campaign signs are a dime a dozen during an election year, candidates posting up on wherever they can get to first. But in the case of the mayoral race in Agana Heights, it's not just one or two, but three.
Popped up out of nowhere like seeds out of the ground.
Yes, all three publicly declared candidates for the AH mayor spot, sharing real estate on a single lot.
The funny thing is now there are a bunch of signs everywhere, so it's been a question, not just for my family, but even for other villagers around who come over, who we see on a daily when we stop by the store. Sometimes it's just brought up.
A question brought up indeed. Agana Heights' Isa Mercado says there is just no way of missing it.
It was a little funny. The whole village was a little like, oh, hey, hi. That was a whole party too last weekend.
They don't just have one candidate on there.
Yeah.
Some of them have two, maybe even three. What's the thought process behind that?
That's literally what, because every day, like one day there was one, and then another day, another one, and then, through the week, all of a sudden now there's four. And so we're going, okay, McDonald, Arroyo, okay, and now Masnayan. So
it's so sudden that there's so many candidates.
For Marie Cassie, the multiple signs on one property isn't that uncommon.
We're like that. Like, I told them they could put the other signs up, but I don't know what happened to the other one. So it's not like because there's only one sign doesn't mean that we're just voting for that person.
So it's not just about who you support?
Just, to be fair to all the candidates. So
it's about being fair.
Yes, it's about being fair. Yeah, not like being biased.
Okay. Anything else you want to add about this election season?
Well, it just came suddenly, and there are some new candidates coming up that we weren't expecting. But hey, the more choices we have, the better, I guess.
A fair response. Gil Owen, who many call Papa Gil, says the answer to signs sharing spaces is simple.
Well, obviously, you're going to have multiple choice, okay? I don't care how you put it. That's what it is.
If you're keeping count of the number of signs we've showed you so far, you probably already know who is running. But just in case, Democratic candidates Richard Arroyo and Kevin Masnayan look to face off in the primary. For now, John McDonald III is the lone GOP who will run against the primary victor. Still, it's clear the village will miss its longtime mayor.
I really don't know if anybody could equal or better than what he did for this village. He's very attentive to the village needs, and it speaks for itself. He's been there long enough to retire. Well, okay, maybe it's time for him to retire. But what I'm thinking is that whoever would win the mayoral relation on Guam has some very big shoes to fill.
he's been doing the village very well, and I have to say he has a very he holds accolades, so he has a lot to uphold too. So I hope that whoever we vote into gets it. Yes, exactly. Whoever we vote into gets it done.
Separately, Gil wanted to end on a strong note with this message to politicians.
I'm a veteran. I got drafted. I got sent overseas. Did I say no? I went. So what difference does it make? My vote don't count anyway. You see what I'm saying? Do something about the schools, the hospital. That's what needs to be done. Get up off their lazy and do something about it. Not just talk argue, whatever. Do something. The kids are the ones that's suffering.
Mayor, how does it feel that you're basically retiring?
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel?
Oh, I'm really thinking about retiring, but I tend to come out here and just get busy. You know, I'm not good in retiring. I like to help people and, you know, just do whatever I have to do. Yeah.
What would you say to your community now that you will be stepping down from your position as mayor?
Okay, I don't look forward for the next mayor, but but whoever makes it, I would want to work with them. If they ask me for my opinion, I'd like to give them my opinion and just go on with the flow, which I do, you know, a lot, and I just hope that I can help everybody. You know?
A lot of candidates, 3 candidates. How do you feel about this?
I have 3 candidates, and I just hope may the best man win.
It's a tough decision for your village.
Yes.
What words would you like to impart on your villagers, on the community of Agana Heights?
Yes, I would like to say that whatever I have, that we went through all these years, that I've been fair to everybody. And whether it be practice at the baseball field, whether it be practice at the gym, and even providing service to everybody on the village. I believe that I've been fair for everybody.
Well, coming up next on The Hub, we head up to the CNMI where there's a race for the delegate seat. Stay tuned, you're watching The Hub. Welcome back to The Hub. Now we head up to the CNMI where our regional correspondent Tomas Mengoña has an exclusive interview with the candidates ahead of the primary this weekend.
I wanted to just jump right into the question that many voters might have after the primary. I wanted to ask you both, if you don't win the primary, will you support the other candidate and not run as a third party candidate or as an independent candidate rather?
I will say unequivocally that I will support whoever wins the primary. I think, what we're focused on is rebuilding the economy, focusing on actually figuring out what it means to be self-governing. We're focused on defining what it means to have a quality of life here in the CNMI, and some of the policy objectives that I have in terms of pursuing this path is to redefine or define what that means exactly for the people. And no matter who the nominee is, that is what I'm focused on. I'm not necessarily focused on getting elected myself. I'm focused on pursuing that goal. And if it's John, I will be behind him 100%. And he's also pledged that if it is me, that he will do the same.
Yes. And speaking of which, let's do this together. Let's
Yeah.
rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to talk a bit about how you've been outreaching to the voters. John, when we first spoke, you mentioned you've been doing a door-to-door campaign. And Kim, I just can't help but notice your social media presence. So is that part of your strategy? Or how are you reaching out to voters, particularly maybe even younger voters in the Republican Party who will be heading to the polls for the primary?
So going back to the conversation that I've been having, right? you know, I meet with people, and when you start talking about, for example, labor issues, immigration issues, Medicaid issues, and you start getting into the specifics of what the Wagner-Pazer Act or whatever laws that need to be amended, right? People, that kind of stuff goes over their head. What people really care about, right, is how that's going to impact their lives and improve their lives on an individual basis. And so the biggest unregistered voters, the biggest demographics of unregistered voters is the age of 18 to 25. You know, they just feel disenchanted with what's happening. And what I've learned in my conversations with the thirds of this world, as I'm gonna call them and classify them, is that we need to find a better way of connecting with younger voters to get them engaged. Because after all, why are we doing this? I'm doing this, Tomas, because, you know, in the conversations with my 20-year-old daughter, her response is, I don't know if I'm gonna come back home, because what are the opportunities there for me? So what I'm trying to do basically is build a future, a place, a commonwealth that she wants to come home to after she's done pursuing whatever professional goals that she has. A lot of folks within the 18 to 30 demographics, they're struggling, you know what I mean, with just starting up, trying to get new homes, trying to get to level up their qualifications. You know, how do we find ways to get them to engage, to be able to participate in this decision-making process so they can help shape the future that will impact them the most? And so I am focused on putting out a lot of social media content with the hopes, basically, right, that I reach out to those younger demographics who are going to be the ones who are gonna be impacted by the policy decisions that we're making today, right? I'm on the downward trajectory of my life. I'm about to be 50 next year. So pretty much I'm like knocking on heaven's door at this point, right? And so I'm focused on the future, not for me, but for these younger folks who are going to be here and hopefully will be taking care of me at the Manamku Center.
Right. Yes, exactly the same. So in my conversations with the people, in fact, yesterday I had another gathering of families who graciously offered their place, their home, their farm. Wow, it was really, really just how it's validating that majority of the attendees were the young voters, demographics 18, and those who are going to be 18 before November 5th of this year for the midterm elections, up to about 32, 33. Because I did a sort of like a, what's your age or what's your gap and stuff. And Kim is correct. We need to engage and, how do you say, go down with them in terms of understanding what is the role of a CNMI delegate to Congress. What is the covenant? How significant are we in terms of our land, as remote as we are, and our ocean to the United States international defense posture in the greater Indo-Pacific region with no security. I mean, Guam is obviously the main base, but we need to make sure that we, whatever we decide on Tinian and our islands and our oceans, that we leverage it to make sure that we ensure a better quality of life, a brighter future, and more benefits and programs that's equalized for our incoming generation. Because that's the promise of our covenant, and it was the pledge of the United States and the Northern Marianas as covenant negotiators when they executed that in goodwill and with due diligence and in good faith. And I look forward to doing exactly the same.
And you can view Tomas's full interview on KUAM's YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit the polls if you're up in the CNMI this weekend. Tomas will have full coverage of that election day. Keep it here. The Hub continues after this break. Welcome back to the Hub. Now we start this part of the Hub where we go canvassing from village to village. First one, we hit up one of the largest up in Dededo, speaking with one senior citizen about some of the concerns he wants our leaders to know about this election season. Take a listen.
I've done well. I'm very happy to be on Guam. Guam has helped me out a lot. I became, this is I think, the third presidency of the Senior Center of Dededo. And I was also the vice president of the Council of Presidents for the entire island of seniors. So I know a lot of seniors. And I'm quite satisfied with the life here. I have people to take care of, and something to do. And politically,
You see so much noise politically, and so I wanted to get your personal view. Just the past decade you've been here, what would you like to see actually addressed and not just said?
I would like to see things improve. I think that there's a lot of waste in the organization on Guam to govern. I think there's too much money just paying off people politically because they're either relatives or beholden to the family, the Guamanian family. I don't have any objections to Guam running this island. I think it's their right to do that. It's their island. It's not mine. I was not born a citizen here.
You just call it home now?
I call it home now. I think they should spread their improvement more evenly over the population. And you notice, like the gas stations, one of them changes. Within 24 hours, all of them change. That system is kind of a system that doesn't appeal to me because it's not competitive. Okay, well, can we do anything about it? Yes, we can, but is there any will to do that? As far as I see, no. There is no will to change that. Why? Because those who are in control of that are also in control of keeping it that way. They have the influence to keep you down from changing it, keep me down from changing it.
So it sounds like you want our leaders to really stand up for the position we put them in?
Yeah, I would like to see Guamanians unite and say to the government in some way, by an organization or something, or by a political group of people that are really attracting change for the population. We need those kind of people. We need more people that are interested in joining together to make good changes. We need them active.
And if you have a concern you want us to share or a village you think that we should hit up next while we canvass this election season, let us know. Hit us up on any of our social media platforms at KUAM News or email us at reporters@kuam.com. Next up, we close off the show by taking a visit over to the Guam Election Commission to find out some important information for voters. Keep it here. You're watching The Hub. Well, we hope you are registered to vote. Just head over to gec.guam.gov. We also have all the information for you on how you can get registered and participate in this election season on KUAM.com. I'm Nick Delgado. We close off now by speaking with the Guam Election Commission to find out what is important for you, the voters at home. Stay safe, everyone, and happy voting. Happy election season, Maria.
Ay, si Zeus Masi, Nick Delgado. It started early.
Right.
Yeah.
And the primaries actually moved up, but we'll get to speaking more on that and why that is, because I know that there's an important reason why we moved up the primary than earlier before, but what is the main thing that voters should know ahead of that?
Okay, get on the GEC website, and that's gec.guam.gov. On that website, you can tell how many more days till the primary election. You can also register online. If you have a current Guam ID or a current Guam driver's license, you can register right on the website. People who are already registered and want to confirm their registration and their voting district can also do that off our website. All you'd have to have is your name and your date of birth.
But there's also an option to still come into the office here in Tamuning, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone can come into our office with an ID. They don't need, it doesn't need to be current, it just needs to be valid, which simply means that it was valid when it was issued. So anyone can come into our office to register during work hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, except holidays. At every single mayor's office also, they are staffed with voter registrars. So they can go into their respective village mayor's office and register also. We also have volunteer voter registrars. They're out there in the village. They can come to your house to register you. We have a whole fleet of voter registrars because we've been having volunteer voter registrar training here at the office, and we've been training quite a few.
How do they get a hold of them? Do they contact the mayor's office to set that up or here at the GEC?
With the voter registrars, they can call the GEC. Their names also appear on our website. So you can get their names off our website, and you can also call us at 477-9791.
Don't forget that 671 area code.
Oh, yes, thank you, Nick. Yeah.
And is there anything new that voters should expect in the primary this year? Different?
Different. First of all, you're only going to get one ballot sheet because, as you may know, the governor just signed the law that says that the public auditor will not be in the primary. The public auditor race will only be on the general election ballot. Secondly, the Guam Election Commission continues to look for better options for polling sites. We have, as you know, some of our schools are closed, and some of those schools that are closed happen to be polling sites as well. So we're looking for better options. We hope to get the word out as to where and when the commissioners have confirmed about the polling sites. So that may be different.
I recall FBLG was one for GIGO.
That's
so
right.
That's off the table.
Yes, and that's our second biggest village. That's our second biggest voting district. So we're looking, and then, there's early voting. And so the primary election is scheduled earlier now. It used to be the first Saturday of August. It used to be the last Saturday in August. It is now the first Saturday in August. So the primary election is scheduled for Saturday, August 3rd, 2024.
And why is that?
That gives the Guam Election Commission and the off-island voters more time to get and receive their off-island ballots. The federal law requires us to send out the ballots for the off-island and military voters 45 days before the election. So that gives us a little bit more time to prepare the general election ballot.
Yeah. Is there anything else that the voters should know? Because we still have a few weeks, few months actually, before the race. But
we have early voting. The bid is out. The invitation for bid is out, but we don't. The Guam Election Commission has not confirmed an early vote center yet, the venue. So as soon as we find that out, we'll let you know. We'll let our media partners know, and we'll let our voters know. and it'll be on our website.
Yeah, I know on gec.guam.gov as well as on kweb.com, we posted the link for those that are interested in hosting the early voting sites. There, I'm sure, will also be homebound and curbside.
That's accessible. voting.
Accessible, okay.
Yes, accessible voting. We made sure that we had a more accurate name for accessible voting because we did not want to delay those people that need help with accessibility, the persons with disabilities.
Yes.
If Nick Delgado gets in that line,
Yeah.
That may just delay one more person with with special needs. So we want to make sure that that our voters realize that it's for persons with disabilities. And the Guam Election Commission does not mind if there's no line that anybody, during early voting, our experience was that the lines were long upstairs. So we encourage people that if they wanted to vote with through the accessible voting path, we would send them downstairs.
Nice. Okay, well, as you see here, voter registration is just as simple as 1, 2, 3. Go to gec.guam.gov. Check out your local mayor's office if you can't get down here to the Tamuning area. And also, pretty cool, they have a QR code that you can simply just access wherever you see this type of sign right here. And it brings you to gec.guam.gov and brings you to this site right here. Maria, thank you so much for your time, and we'll speak to you more in the weeks ahead.
Si Zuzma si Nick Delgado.